This show, along with hundreds of others from Calaroga Shark Media, is available commercial-free on any player. Just look for the link in the episode or show notes.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Romance Weekly. This episode is titled Pirates of New York, Part 2, Love in the Time of iPhones.
The morning sun peeked over the skyscrapers of Lower Manhattan, casting long shadows across the deck of the Salty Wench. Captain Rusty Cutlass awoke with a start, momentarily confused by the strange skyline surrounding his ship. "Blimey," he muttered, rubbing his eyes. "I was hoping it was all a rum-induced dream." As his crew stirred, groaning from their uncomfortable night on deck, Rusty's thoughts drifted to Kara, the enchanting lass they'd met the day before. There was something about her that made his old pirate heart skip a beat, a dangerous feeling for a man out of time. Meanwhile, across town, Kara was having a similar moment of disbelief. She stared at her phone, scrolling through the photos she'd taken yesterday of the historical reenactors at South Street Seaport. "They looked so real," she mused aloud, earning a strange look from her roommate, Emma. "Kara, honey," Emma said, pulling on her running shoes, "I think you might be getting a bit too invested in this pirate fantasy. They're just actors, you know." Kara nodded absently, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Captain Cutlass and his crew than met the eye. "I'm going back to the seaport," she announced. "Want to come?" Emma shook her head. "No thanks, I've had enough pirate shenanigans for one trip. Just be careful, okay?" As Kara made her way to South Street Seaport, Rusty and his crew were facing their first major challenge of the day: modern plumbing. "Captain," called Peg-Leg Pete, hopping from foot to foot outside a public restroom, "I can't figure out how to use this blasted chamber pot. It's got all manner of levers and buttons." Rusty, who had been watching a hot dog vendor with suspicious fascination, sighed. "For the love of Blackbeard, man, just aim true and hope for the best." Their bathroom misadventures were interrupted by the arrival of Kara, carrying a tray of steaming coffee cups. "Good morning, pirates," she called cheerfully. "Thought you might need a caffeine boost." The crew descended on the coffee like seagulls on a fish, slurping and sighing with delight. Rusty watched in amusement as his fearsome buccaneers were reduced to caffeine-addled landlubbers. "Many thanks, lass," he said, tipping his hat to Kara. "Ye be a true saviour in this strange land." Kara beamed, but her smile faltered as she took in their dishevelled appearance. Did you guys sleep on the ship? You know there are hotels, right?" Rusty and his crew exchanged panicked glances. "Aye," Rusty improvised. "We be method actors, you see, staying in character at all times." "Wow," Kara said, impressed. "That's dedication. But you can't keep wearing those costumes. Come on, let's get you some new clothes." What followed was a shopping montage for the ages. Rusty and his crew were led through the maze-like streets of Chinatown, gawking at the strange sights and sounds. They stumbled into a discount clothing store where chaos ensued. "Captain," cried Salty Sam, tangled in a rack of skinny jeans, "these trousers be cursed. They're trying to strangle me legs." Meanwhile, One-Eyed Willie was engaged in a fierce staring contest with a mannequin. "This landlubber's got a mighty strong gaze," he muttered, circling his plastic opponent. Kara watched in amused bewilderment as Rusty attempted to pay for their new clothes with a handful of doubloons. The cashier, a bored-looking teenager, merely rolled her eyes. "Dude, we don't take Pokemon coins or whatever. Cash or card only." Rusty turned to Kara, his face a mask of confusion. "Pokey what? Lass, I fear we've run afoul of some strange custom." Kara, stifling a laugh, pulled out her credit card. "Don't worry, I've got this. You can pay me back later." As they exited the store, now clad in an assortment of tacky tourist t-shirts and ill-fitting jeans, they found themselves face to face with a group of street performers dressed as the Avengers. "A fast!" Rusty cried, drawing his, thankfully fake, cutlass. "What manner of colourful brigands be these?" "Whoa, easy there, Jack Sparrow," said the man dressed as Iron Man. "We're just trying to make a living here." Kara quickly intervened, explaining the concept of cosplayers to the bewildered pirates. As they walked away, Rusty couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy at the attention these Avengers were receiving. "You know, lass," he said to Kara, "in me day, pirates were the true heroes of the sea." Kara patted his arm sympathetically. "Don't worry, Captain. You guys are way cooler than any superhero." As they continued their tour of the city, Rusty found himself becoming more and more enamored with both Kara and the wonders of the 21st century. They rode the subway, a metal sea serpent that travels underground. Fascinating. Visited Times Square. By Neptune's beard, it's brighter than 1,000 suns. And even braved the dizzying heights of the Empire State Building. Throughout the day, Rusty struggled to maintain his actor facade while genuinely marvelling at the sights around him. Kara, for her part, found his wide-eyed wonder endearing, if a bit puzzling for someone who was supposed to be a New York resident. As they shared a hot dog in Central Park, after Rusty had nearly skewered the vendor for trying to poison them with mystery meat, Kara turned to him with a curious expression. "You know, for someone who's supposed to be acting, you seem genuinely amazed by everything. It's like you've never seen New York before." Rusty froze, his hot dog halfway to his mouth. He was saved from answering by a commotion nearby. Pegleg Pete had wandered into a group of breakdancers and was now attempting to mimic their moves, his wooden leg clunking rhythmically on the pavement. "Captain," he called out between spins, "these street performers be practicing some kind of dark magic. They're moving in ways that defy nature." The breakdancers, thinking Pete was part of a rival crew, challenged him to a dance-off. What followed was a spectacle that drew a large crowd, a one-legged pirate attempting to pop and lock against a crew of skilled street dancers. As Kara doubled over with laughter, Rusty saw his opportunity to change the subject. "Lass," he said, taking her hand, "would you do me the honour of joining me for what do you call it, a date this evening?" Kara's cheeks flushed pink. "A date? With you? I mean, yes, I'd love to." As Kara rushed off to get ready, Rusty gathered his crew. "Lads, we need to figure out how to get back to our own time. Pete, you're the smartest of this sorry lot. See what you can discover about time travel." Pete saluted, still out of breath from his dance battle. "Aye, Captain. I'll visit one of them book repositories and see what I can learn." That evening, Rusty met Kara at a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy. He had managed to clean up nicely, though he still wore his tricorn hat. "It's me lucky charm, lass." As they enjoyed their meal, Rusty declaring the pasta fit for Poseidon himself, Kara found herself falling for this strange, charming man. There was something so refreshingly honest about him, so different from the guys she usually met. "So, Rusty," she said, twirling spaghetti around her fork, "tell me about your life, your real life, I mean, when you're not playing a pirate." Rusty's fork clattered to his plate. This was the moment of truth. He looked into Kara's eyes, seeing the warmth and trust there, and made a decision. "Kara, lass, I have something to tell you. Something you might find hard to believe." But before he could continue, a commotion erupted outside. They rushed to the window to see Peg-Leg Pete running down the street, arms full of library books, with 2 security guards in hot pursuit. "Belay that thought, lass," Rusty said, grabbing Kara's hand. "It seems me crew be needing a rescue. Care to join me on a daring escapade?" Kara, her heart racing with excitement, nodded. "Aye, aye, Captain." What followed was a madcap chase through the streets of Little Italy. Rusty and Kara dodged tourists, vaulted over sidewalk cafes, and narrowly avoided being flattened by a runaway food cart. They finally caught up to Pete in a back alley, where he was attempting to fend off the security guards with a baguette he'd snatched from a nearby bakery. "Stand back, you scurvy dogs," Pete bellowed, waving his bread sword menacingly. "These books hold the key to our salvation." Kara, thinking quickly, stepped forward. "I'm so sorry, officers," she said, putting on her best confused tourist voice. "My friends are part of an interactive theatre group. We're doing a show about time-travelling pirates. It's all a big misunderstanding." The guards, more confused than angry at this point, decided it wasn't worth the trouble. "Just return the books, okay?" one of them said wearily before they both trudged off. As the adrenaline of the chase wore off, Kara turned to Rusty with a mix of excitement and suspicion. "Okay, what is really going on here? No actor is this committed to a role." Rusty sighed, knowing the jig was up. "Lass, you might want to sit down for this. It's a long story, involving a storm, a time vortex, and a whole lot of confusion about these pocket telephones everyone seems to have." As Rusty began to explain their true situation, Kara's eyes grew wider and wider. Part of her wanted to dismiss it as an elaborate hoax, but another part, the part that had felt drawn to Rusty from the start, knew he was telling the truth.
Romance Weekly is a production of Calaroga Shark Media. Executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been created with the assistance of AI.
Calaroga Shark Media.